Today, Bitcoin slides back below $41,000. Dogecoin rallies as Elon Musk tries to buy Twitter. And lots of celebrities have gotten their paycheck in crypto. But should you? Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Tanaya and Macheel. Digital currency prices dropped pretty much across the board since yesterday. Bitcoin is back below 41K and down about 2.5% since Monday. Ether continues to trade between $3,000 and $3,100. And AVAX is moving lower today as well, despite some good news for the altcoin's blockchain network. That's actually our first headline too. Here's what's going on. The developer behind the Avalanche blockchain network is set to raise $350 million in new funding, according to Bloomberg. This latest round boosts the valuation of Ava Labs to more than $5 billion. The Avalanche network has around 250 apps, and the AVAX token has a market cap of around $21 billion. Next, an NFT of Jack Dorsey's tweet was put up for auction again, but it wasn't quite as popular as last time. Crypto entrepreneur Sina Estavi bought the NFT for $2.9 million back in March 2021. Then, last week, he tried to sell the token for $48 million and even promised to donate half the proceeds to charity. Well, the auction was supposed to end yesterday, and the highest bid at the time, $277. Estavi told CoinDesk that if a better offer came in, he might accept, but he also might not sell the NFT at all. As of now, the highest bid on the NFT is around $10,000. Finally, let's talk about the news everyone is watching today. Elon Musk has offered to buy Twitter for $43 billion. Musk says he wants to take the company private as part of his effort to transform the business. Twitter's stock faced volatile trading on Thursday, but so did one of Elon Musk's favorite meme tokens, Dogecoin. It rallied as much as 5.5% before trading lower. The story is changing fast, so head over to CNBC.com for the latest. Let's talk about our main story today. The deadline to file your taxes is right around the corner, Monday, April 18th, in case you haven't done them. And while you might be figuring out how to report your crypto investments, what if you also had to figure out your wages in crypto? Sure, there have been lots of headlines about athletes and CEOs taking a salary in Bitcoin, but how realistic is it for those of us not raking in millions? I spoke to Phillip Bauknight of Phillips to find out. Philip, thank you for joining us today. We're here to talk a little bit about people getting paid in Bitcoin. And I have a little stat here I want to read off to you. This poll by Devere Group recently showed that more than a third of millennials and half of Gen Z would be happy to take 50% or more of their paycheck in Bitcoin or other crypto. I'm a little bit skeptical. I think that sounds a little bit like marketing for the industry. But to start, what do you make of that stat?
Well, I think it really shows that the pandemic really changed things for people. It made us reevaluate our priorities and what matters to us. And the workplace was no exception. Employers want more autonomy and flexibility and control in every aspect of their workplace and their workplace lives. And, being paid in cryptocurrency is just a natural extension of that shift.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen just a surge in interest in crypto since the pandemic. So here and there, we hear these stories about, pro athletes getting paid in Bitcoin. We've seen the mayors of New York and Miami talk about receiving 1, 2, 3 paychecks in Bitcoin or other crypto. That is a lot different from everyday individuals. What are you seeing in terms of interest there, in terms of what you're hearing and clients you're talking to?
Sure, I think there's definitely an interest from employees to see whether or not they can get paid in cryptocurrency. They're definitely asking their employers whether this is an option and what the options may be. And I think from an employment perspective, the employers and businesses really need to evaluate that to determine what the options are. So at least they have a response to their potential workforce, whether it's applicants or current employees, about what those options are and what they're willing to do.
Is there a time where it's appropriate or ideal to, is there an ideal candidate to be receiving their paychecks in crypto? Receiving crypto as an investment is much different from crypto being used as money. A lot of people are getting their paychecks because they need to pay their bills, and just a lot of other people and vendors or what have you that don't necessarily receive cryptocurrency payments. What is the distinction there for you?
Sure. I think that's a good question. And I think it's really going to come down to the individual person and what their personal circumstances are. You mentioned athletes. And listen, a lot of those professional athletes, well, they're professional athletes, right? They're millionaires already, and so they have the ability to be paid in cryptocurrency and take a little bit more risk with their earnings. But for the individual person, I think it's going to determine and really be based on your personal circumstances. Not every grocery store is going to accept payment in a cryptocurrency, right? And that's certainly a factor to consider. But there's a lot of people who are willing to take that chance. And again, there's the option to only receive a portion of your salary in Bitcoin, right? Or cryptocurrency, I should say. You don't have to be paid your entire salary in cryptocurrency. You have the option, assuming you can even be paid in that. And one thing I will say is that as an employer, from the employment perspective, you're going to need to evaluate federal and state wage and hour laws to be able to determine and evaluate if that's even a viable option. So before we jump straight to what type of employees can receive it, from the employment perspective, you're going to want to know and evaluate whether or not that's something that can be done under federal and state laws, just based on what you're trying to accomplish.
Right. Well, you beat me to it. That was the next thing I was going to ask you, actually. Say that my skepticism is a little bit overblown and everybody wants to get paid in crypto. Aside from what you just mentioned, what are some of the other challenges to employers in doing so?
Sure. Well, again, first thing is you're going to have to evaluate the federal and state wage laws, because cryptocurrency doesn't really fit neatly into any of the currently existing statutes. You're also going to need to evaluate from an employer perspective whether you're going to pay directly in cryptocurrency or whether you're going to use a third-party processor where you pay in cash or a fiat currency where it's automatically converted. One of the issues for employers to consider is that if you're going to pay directly in cryptocurrency, that's considered a non-cash wage. What that means is that there's going to be different withholding and reporting requirements. So if you are an employer and you're not aware of this distinction, or you're unsure how to remain compliant, you could potentially erroneously report withholdings or potentially erroneously withhold. So those are some other issues to consider as well.
Sure. Okay, so to recap everything, give me your top 2 or 3 pros and top 2 or 3 cons on receiving some or all of your paycheck in crypto.
Sure. Well, I think I think that 3 things that employers will need to consider is, one, if you're going to be paid or pay employees in cryptocurrency, you're going to need to evaluate your state and federal wage and hour laws. You're going to need to evaluate whether or not you're going to pay directly in cryptocurrency and whether or not you're going to use the conversion rate. One other thing I think is that you're also going to need to evaluate your policies, right? You're going to need to update your policies if you're going to pay employees in cryptocurrency.
Before we go, Amazon CEO Andy Jassy was on Squawk Box this morning, and he shot down any notion that the e-commerce giant would accept crypto in the near term.
We're not probably close to adding crypto as a payment mechanism in our retail business, but I do believe over time that you'll see crypto become bigger.
Despite the refusal to add crypto to Amazon's payment options, Jassy said NFTs and crypto will keep growing. That's all for this week. Crypto will be back on Monday, and we'll see you then.